Your audio is way down.
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't speaking into the mic.
Okay. Oh. What the heck? I'm trying to figure out the share screen again. It says I'm sharing.
Yeah, do the switch screen to or window, and you'll choose the one that has the slides. They're on the right.
Okay.
The light bulb.
Oh, there it is. You got to remember, I'm the one that still owns a phone with a cord.
But do you have the fancy pull-out antenna?
No, actually, it's a regular desk phone, and I've got a bug in it so I can record phone calls. Can everybody see?
I also have a bug in it, Tony.
I went to Radio Shack and wired my own phone. So does everybody see the press kits and press releases?
Yep.
Is it up? Okay. Because the first thing I wanted to do was just have everybody just give us like a 1-minute share on what they've accomplished this month. And that's why I thought we could go ahead with that while we wait for any stragglers. So microphone's on and just give us a 1-minute share.
I'm eating lunch.
Okay. My guess is that's Linda.
Yeah, so, that's it. I've been weeding this morning and planting and tomorrow I write. So that's where I'm at.
You'll be back.
Yes, and I try to set up SendFox.
Okay, next.
Well, Sue and I are going through the third book with Read Aloud.
Oh, good.
And as always, finding, wow, we missed that. And wedging that in between building a crib for my daughter. Well, for her daughter.
I was wondering. Anyone else?
I've been writing like a woman possessed.
Yay.
And I've been helping some with John with the new anthology, but I don't have so much work to do there, so I've been writing on my memoir.
Who's this?
Christine.
Okay, good. Next, I can't see who's on. That's why I'm just saying next.
I'm raising a hand. Am I next?
Yes.
Okay. So for the past month or so, I've been doing the deep edit dive into my book. And I'm starting to come back up to the surface with doing a full read aloud on my own. Joel, it sounds like you're using a program for your read aloud. I was just kind of curious how that differs from just you yourself reading it aloud to yourself.
It's a function in Word, and the advantage is you can kind of sit back and listen, and it actually, because sometimes even reading it aloud, your brain will make a correction that isn't there. Mm-hmm. But with the and if you do you have Word?
No, not at this time. I mean, okay. I've purchased.
You should do a Google search, because there are free apps that can do that for you, and it's amazingly helpful.
Okay. It's under the review tab, isn't it?
In Word, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you can just do in the what do you want to do, just type read aloud and it'll pop it up.
Okay.
But if you don't have Word, then I know there are free basic apps that you can find.
Okay. And it's not that I could get Word, but I've purchased Word so many times already. Like, why do I have to keep repurchasing Word? Oh my gosh, just make it a word processor. That's my pet peeve today, in case anybody wanted to know.
Yeah, well, they changed from, it used to be you'd buy the program and own it. But once you buy it, then they don't make any more money off you. So now it's an annual subscription.
Okay.
Yeah, and Jeff had a boat payment due. So
Thank you.
Yeah, the upside of it is that it lets you install it on multiple computers under the same subscription.
okay, anyone else?
Yeah, this is Diana. I published my third novel in the series, so I'm excited about that. This one actually has a protagonist who suffers from mental illness, and I had been a little worried about how well that had been that would be received, but so far people like it. So that's my big happy moment.
Good. Next.
It's Susan. I've just been working away on 2 books that I'm contracted for. So they're coming along. Life intervenes. I spent a week traveling, which was a really nice change. And now I'm trying to resuscitate my garden.
Okay.
Things.
Have we heard from Roland?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've been working on forward to another Malin Blaine fan is publishing his own book, reprinting some of Blaine's early stuff, and he asked me to write a forward for him like a couple of years ago, which I did, and now we're getting closer to publication. I realize I need to say some additional things that I didn't the first time around. So that's what I'm working on.
And naming my book.
Oh, yeah. I'm glad to see that.
Anyone else? I can't see the list, so I don't know who else is there.
This is Matt. I launched a podcast last week with my wife. I published a book last week, and I'm going to publish another one in about 2 weeks. So
Nice.
Pretty active.
Busy. This is John. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I've just been working on editing the best laid plans stories and keeping track of that. Not doing much writing. Enjoying my hammock in the warm weather, though. Yeah. So.
Have we made it through? Well, I've been walking in the cemetery looking for new plots, and really haven't been doing much. I have picked up over 112 bags of garbage. So, we about ready to go? Okay. First thing I'd like to do is we had announced our winner of the shutdown write-in, and Andy had won. And I've had the awards here. Susan Old has second place, but I have the awards here in my house, and I'll be mailing out Andy's. Sue, you'll be getting yours shortly. I'd like to put in an apology here because you were also getting a 6-pack of Corona, each of you, but I drank them. Isolation is tough on us extroverts. I didn't even bother to buy any limes. It was too dangerous to go to the store. So I will buy you each a beer at a later date. So now we'll get right into what we're doing. The whole point of this is getting the word out, marketing. It's probably one of the toughest things we have to do. And so we don't write for ourselves, we write for our readers. We want to share, we want to put it out there to the world and share that creativity. But to put it out there takes some courage, and it's scary. So, the whole point of this is to share. So it's trying to make this a little bit easier. So once we've got it written and rewritten and then maybe edited again, then we need to release it out to the wild. So it's we have to do whatever we can to help it travel as far and wide as possible. And this is included on traditional published books too, because traditional publishers are not putting all the energy into projects that they used to, and it really is left up to the writers. So the first thing I wanted to go to was self-promotion flyers. I went to a meeting, oh gosh, it's been some time ago now because we could still go to a meeting. And the woman had showed us some bio sheets she had done. And I was really intrigued with them and had to get busy, but it was mostly like a flyer that you could hand out or would be available, but it also helps as an attachment to when you're trying to get information out. So you want it to be serious, include all your links. You still want it to be engaging, that will attract attention. And to have these things made in advance, you're prepared for, you know, a quick edit and a response. If someone gets in touch with you, you've got something right there. And also, if you're doing any kind of a outside promotional book signing or anything, you've got something to really sell yourself. Because as much as we like to think we're selling books, we're selling ourselves too. So one of the most important things, I think, is, you know, to have an updated bio and then a relatively recent color photo. You know, it's like I'd like to use my glamour shot from the 80s, but it's not really accurate anymore. So, and your contact information, which is email, website, and maybe phone, maybe not phone, but, or even your Amazon page, your links. So I went to this woman and asked her for the template on how she did it. And she told me she just did it on her own. So I got busy, and thanks to Susan Brown's suggestion, I went into Word templates and I found something that would fit me, that I could build this promo from the ground up. I picked a colorful one, mostly because that's my nature. If I don't get too much attention, I'm sad. So, so the main thing I wanted to do is really make it bold on the message you want to present. And so I've changed this one to update to use on my newest promo. And so I have just a short blurb on this newest book. Very few words. You want it to attract attention. You don't want to tie them up. Just a sentence or two, and always put your links on. And here's what mine looks like now. So, you know, as you can see, I started out with the top, showing all of the books I have. I don't have the cover yet on Saints, Strangers, and Rosehip Tea.
Hey, Toni, there was
yeah.
there was a question from Diana. Are those links your book links or your social media links?
It kind of could fluctuate. I've got another handout that I've made that I'll be showing in a little bit. That's all my books. This one I use more my web page, my email on this. I took my phone off, and I gave my city, you know, but I still kept it, you know, kind of personal, but still enough that would attract attention. And then I put a short bio that's less than 100 words about me. I also, well, here we go, in the book attachment handout. It kind of attaches to the promos, or it can also work on its own. It's a listing of all my works, and I included the Amazon links as well as my web page and brief descriptions. And see, it's gone to 2 pages, which shocks me to no end that I have more than one book. And as you can see, I gave, like in the Mildred series, I gave a short description of the whole series, and then I just listed each book. And then the ones that are completely different. It's brief. It's something I can add on. When I've done a press release, I've included this as an attachment just so they could see that I'm serious. And when it comes to the promo sheets, instead of just being all about me, I did one for the cooperative. And so I just did, a short lead in, and then I broke down each of our releases and I kept it to one page. Now we'll go into the press releases, because what I was talking about previously is mostly about, being prepared to hand something. I get a lot of contact by different blogs and writing groups because I've joined so many of them on Facebook. And so I have this that I can send to them, and those items I can send to them, and they've got a basis on putting together their shows. Now, with the press, we're going to go with, we're authors, we're selling books, but it still is all about us in an odd way, but it is. And we have to determine what kind of image we want to share. We want to be not only interesting, but professional and worthy of attention, where it's not going to be a waste of time. So be sure to choose an appropriate venue for what you're promoting. And I kind of came to thoughts with this historical fiction. Even though it's not quite ready to go yet, I'm still waiting for cover. But I have made a list of genealogical societies that would fit into it. Found their newsletters, the museums, historical sites, some blogs. I've been in touch with the Pilgrims Society and also William White's society that they've already promised that when the book's done, they'll put it in their newsletter and on their page. But I'm all ready. I've got their addresses. I'm ready to put something together, which will probably be kind of the flyers, but I'll really have a lot more about Susanna by that time. We want our initial contact to really get attention. We don't want to be one of those press releases or packets that just kind of moves to the side where it's a little overwhelming or not gathering attention. So, you want to take announcing an event or something specialized. There's got to be some reason instead of, it's just me again. You really want to be concise, efficient, and attention-getting. Now, press releases are quite cost-effective because I've been doing a lot of the paid promo sites, but on these, we don't have to pay. Maybe a stamp. We want to build our name recognition, information about our books and what we do. We want to have them to really get back to us to build an article or an interview. We could do a lot of, there's not only television and radio, there's blogs, there's all kinds of ways this can go. We're really trying to incite interest into more than just the book that we're promoting, because if we have additional books, we want to build our name, build the interest in us. And so we really want them to pick up this item and read it and want to know more. Do your homework. Adapt your release to fit what's appropriate for who you're writing to. If it's a reporter, a particular program, like we've got all these local afternoon programs, local newspapers, magazines, you can even go bigger. I've started making contact with AARP magazines because I write about older folks and I'm older. So it hasn't bounced back yet, but I'm working on it. Keep it brief. And edit. Make it well edited. You don't want to have amateur looking mistakes. You want it to be picked up and considered. Keep open-minded. All exposure is good. And as I said, unless your strap broke on a train, and then it's just not appropriate, but still all exposure is good. even if it's a reaction. It's getting your name repeated and remembered. You want it to be read, and you want action. Most press releases never accomplish very much. Most are, as I call, just spray and pray. Nobody reads them, but we're going to try to do better and get ours picked up and read by those we intend to read them. The worst case is a badly written press release. It simply makes you look clueless and stupid. And, you know, we always worry about that on our own anyway. So we want this to look good. We've got time. It needs to, your press release needs to contain all essential information. And that's where we come with the who, what, where, when, and how, and most importantly, why. Because we want to make it easy for the journalists to produce a story and see an access to a story where it will make them look good too. The standard press release begins with contact information, most likely name, phone number, email, from who wrote it. And here, if you have a logo, whoops. Well, I'm lost. Oh, I'm found. Okay, if you have a logo, use it. And it goes top center. The first thing on the press release should carry your logo. As we said, top center of the page. It's important to include a high resolution link of a PNG image of your logo in case you're going to send the document by email to different journalists and bloggers. Below, put a headline, a one-line summary, and make it pop. It's like the headline to a newspaper. You want it to draw the reader in to motivate them to read it. Like a standard news story, the first sentence should summarize the main news in 25 words or less. You want it to pull them in. You don't want to, carry on too long. You want them to be interested in going to the next paragraph. And that one, you should answer the questions a journalist might have about your book or your event that you're announcing. Keep it brief and readable. It's a public relations tool. It shouldn't be too long or over promotional. You're not trying to get the journalists to buy your book. You want them to buy you. Then be sure your contact information, a lot of times it can go to the right of the page under the logo. It's advisable to put it along with necessary information for those interested in your activity so they can contact you. Some people like to prefer to put this at the bottom of the paragraphs. I'd almost have the tendency to do both. But it's truly important to make sure you have your data and your links easily visible. And I show just kind of a real simplistic suggestion, contact, phone, and email. And then, a web page on there too, just very brief, right to it. You also will, if it's a book release, you want to show a release date or the date when you want this information released. You can omit this when you're doing something more generalized, like some of our book releases, you can do plenty of interviews after it's out. But in case you want to include this sort of data, just place it right below the logo in the left margin instead of the date you could put for immediate release or release on a date. Am I reading too fast?
No, sorry, there was a quick question regarding the title in the email. Do you just put press release or do you try to make it kind of snappy and fun?
Snappy and fun. You want them to open it, and how many things are they going to get that says press release? You want to engage. That headline or the head has to catch their attention. That's the whole thing we're working on here, is getting their attention and getting them to read. And so it should, things need to be short and straight to the point, very clear and easy to understand. You have to keep in mind the main goal all along through this whole thing is you want them to read it and then you want them to take action. You set your main story that later will serve to link to your background and objectives. And you should use like a 14 font size, and highlighted. You can use bold, you can use colors. You date sign in place of your article. It's like if I send to the Marysville newspaper, I make sure they know I'm local. If I go to Seattle, I might suggest that I'm local, but I may not go quite to Marysville. You want it to relate to their audience. It's very important that you follow along with the body with your dates and and use capitals, use what you need to use to get attention. I went here with Snohomish because that also suggests the county, not just the town. And then I used the election day, but I couldn't help that. And now we'll get into the body of it. The important information you want to share with the journalists and bloggers should be placed in the first paragraph of the release. This is where we go with who, what, where, and when, and how to be answered. You don't want it to go on too long, so use which of those really will grab attention and cause them to move. The first paragraph should be a brief summary, providing them with the main idea of what their story would be about. The first paragraph of the body should stick to facts, exclusively avoiding advertising or trying to sell the item. And it should be non-bold and maybe a 12 font size. The rest of the paragraphs are intended to give further detail. You don't want to go on into a bunch of pages. You only want 1, 2 at the most. You want it to appear journalistic, so the text can be used the way you've written it for the media outlets, where they can see easily how they can take it and make it work. Don't let the paragraphs extend past a couple sentences. Brevity and clarity are the main things you're going for. Also, you want to make sure to use any statistics, hyperlinks, and quotes. Like Roland Trenery says that this is the best darn historical fiction he ever read, and he's old enough to know. So, especially if we've got someone that's got a bit of a name that would be recognized, if you've got a quote from them on your work, would be great. And then you might want to include any photos, videos, audio clips, especially if you're emailing. This just adds more things that will help them build a story, especially if you're trying to get a television or radio interview. And that will just make their work easier and more substantial. Certain aspects of the story you're telling need to be highlighted or attention getting. Use any of the quotes in the body of the paragraph as advisable. Quotes can be a useful tool. It's like with all I can think about is this historical fiction, but things I've been able to get from other authors writing out of Britain on this person I'm writing on and their connections. So I'm using them whenever I can. Your last paragraph should be the boilerplate, and it's present all the information you're announcing and promoting. So you would restate the name of the book, the release date, anything that would gather and tell them that this is newsworthy and newsworthy, newer and not later. You don't want them to call you in a year about it. It's not the time to be humble. Your book's good. Tell them. And when the text of the press release is totally done, it's advisable to include a final note at the bottom to motivate them, a little extra information to get in touch with you. It'd be something like, if you want more information about the name of the book, please call your name and phone number or your name and email address. And then wrap it up. Press releases typically end with a short description of the author. And, you can use some of these short bio things you might want to attach, but mostly you need a call to action. Could be to participate in the event you're holding. There might be a book signing at the bookstore or one of our events where we might have some kind of specialized author introductions, book signings, sales. It could vary for whatever would fit most to everybody. A 2-page press release should be centered at the bottom of the first page, would put more to indicate that it goes on further. And on the final page, 3 pound signs indicates the end of the note. And they would like to see that those 3 pound signs. And here's a sample of just a press release that, you could possibly print or whatever might help you.
Toni, we had a couple questions, maybe.
Okay.
You can answer. Number one, do you send them a copy of the book, or do you send them a digital copy of the book included in your press release? And then also there was a follow-up question regarding what type of response you've seen with your press releases or the things you've done.
Okay. It depends on where you're sending your press release, on sending a book along, or actually with everything these days being done by email, you could send a digital copy quite easily and it wouldn't even cost you hardly anything. Some things, like especially a TV or a radio show, you might want them to put the book in their hands. Now, I've done these, and last month I did 6 different blog interviews where, in fact, I've been invited back to one, and I told him, let me finish the book, So, but I've been getting more response from different writers through the different groups that I've joined, and blogging appears to be a big thing now. I'm going to really do a big slam coming soon as I've got my book up on Amazon. I forgot the name of it. And so, then I'll be sending out, and it's like, the ones to local papers, I will, make sure they understand how local I am. I will also expand further with the different societies I've found, and also news and television shows that are locally produced, also radio. Some of these, you might want to add your book promo sheet and very short Amazon links. And here's the main thing we're going to. I included some of the links. So I found, like, the link for online newspapers in Washington's, the main TV stations. And here's, like bookstores in Washington, libraries. So you would, as you present to these different places, you would tweak your press release to fit them. And so I just tried to offer up as many links as I could that would really help you. Here's a list of 100 best literary magazine through Readsy. Thank you for introducing me to Readsy, Matthew. And I did like Seattle magazines through Yelp, simply because they're the ones that might really want to follow up with you, since we are relatively local to them. And then I wanted to really make it clear that we support each other, in social media, word of mouth, read and review each other's books. I've been trying to do that, but I've been kind of lost in a couple books lately, but I've been trying to read at least one book for each of our authors and get a review out. Doing that has come back to me quite well, because now I have 95 reviews on my first Mildred book. And a lot of it came from reading other people's books and reviewing. And kind of building relationships. And that is the end of Toni. So when this is saved to the page, you can accent all those different links. I tried to do some of the work for you. And let's get busy.
All right. Thank you, Toni. Just to let everybody know that her presentation is already available on the members page. I put it there in the chat window, so if anyone wants to take a look at that. Toni, thank you very much. This was really good. I think this echoed a lot of the same stuff that the publisher was talking about last week, that going out and doing the groundwork. This was really nice to see. Did you have anything that you wanted to include as like example files or anything like that you wanted me to include as well, or would the links be just fine?
It's mostly the links.
Okay,
I
cool.
pretty well put everything in there that I figured out. So.
Okay, great. Does anybody have any additional questions they wanted to ask Toni before we end? I'll give somebody the time to type it in. Looks like Andy might be timed. If anybody wants to just kind of come off mute and ask the questions, that might be easier.
And I think also remembering that we're really selling ourselves. You know, as much as or some of us, I mean, I'm the extrovert in the group, but some of us like to, stand behind our books. We've really got to jump out front and hold our books up.
Toni?
Yes.
I might have missed it, but I don't think I got your response to the question about what kind of response have you gotten back from in terms of, when you send out press releases to the papers and stuff for Mildred and stuff. Did you get a response from papers?
Yes, I got a couple responses, not much follow-up, but that was early on before I really put any work to this. But mostly from this and the personal sheet that I made, that's where I've gotten the 6 different blog interviews where I was, specialized. And so I just, lately with this pandemic, I really haven't been pressing like I should, and I'm going to get on it again.
So Toni, Andy had a question regarding, you say a spray and pray. Does it seem a little risky? Do you feel you're wasting any time, or do you see benefit out of that?
I think with the spray and pray, that's what happens. That's why we were trying to really get it to where it would attract attention and get it picked up and really focus on that, because I mean, every day I see where I think I've wasted some time, but I've been surprised on what has come back. And it isn't a waste of time. You start getting recognized. And I mean, I got recognized by someone in the deli department at Hagen's, that she'd seen something in the Marysville paper about my book. She went and bought it. And then she recognized me from the cover. So you just never know.
Diana had a question regarding the order of the press releases going out. If you send one to, let's say, the Monroe Monitor, or will the Seattle paper not want to do anything if they see somebody publishing elsewhere? Do you know?
I have no idea. I think we just need to, get out there and pound it and really, kind of make a discipline. And not just press releases, but marketing itself. Even if you just say, like, I'm going to do 10 minutes a day. And, and sometimes that 10 minutes will grow into more, and other times 10 minutes is plenty. But at least market daily.
If somebody were to, start a press release today, how long do you think it, ballpark, it would take them to kind of build something up?
Well, it took me a while on the first page I had done, the personal page, just because I didn't know I was trying to figure out how to lay it out. But now that I know just to find a template and go to work, you do it maybe in an hour or so. It's not going to take a lot of time, especially if I've got a whole folder of different size bios and pictures that I just go to, and I just pull whatever I need.
And then I had one last question. I might have missed it, but do you manage like an Excel sheet to let you know who you've submitted to and who you haven't, so you don't duplicate?
Nope, but I should.
Okay, I wanted to know.
Yeah, Excel scares me.
Do you have a Word document that?
I got a tablet over here,
Okay.
right under where it says "Kill Mrs. Winslow" and take care of that boy too.
Spoilers.
Yes.
Okay, cool. I don't know if we have any other questions, but on behalf of everybody, I know a lot of thanks has already been put in the chat. And there's a really great picture of you as Captain Planet in there. I don't know who sent that. Thank you very, very much for putting this together. I think this was really great.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I see it.
Yeah.
I'm going to save that and I'm going to use it. You know?
That is open source. You can use it wherever you want. All right. Let's see. Generic. Start sharing. Okay, so just one last thing here as I stop the